Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Asics Gel-Nimbus 26 and the Asics Gel-Kayano 30. So the Kayano and the Nimbus are the most expensive top training shoes within the Asics range. You've got the Nimbus, which is the top of the line cushioned neutral shoe, and then the Gel-Kayano is the top of the line cushioned stability shoe. Now in the past there's been quite big differences between the pair, but over the last couple of years they've moved together in terms of their design, so we're going to try and highlight any differences there are here between the two shoes and suggest which would be the one to go for. Price is the same on both shoes. It's £180 in the UK, $160 in the US, which is a pretty brutal conversion if you're here in the UK. The weight is also very similar. The Gel-Kayano is 315 grams or 11.1 ounces in my UK 9, whereas the Gel-Nimbus is 318 grams or 11.2 ounces. The Gel-Kayano has a 10mm drop and a stack height of 40mm at the heel, 30 at the forefoot. The Nimbus has a slightly lower drop at 8mm and a higher overall stack height of 42mm at the heel and 34mm at the forefoot. So it comes to the midsoles, you've got a lot of similarities here. They've both got big stacks of Asics' Flight Foam Plus Eco cushioning with a little bit of pure gel under the heel as well. Both have got sidewalls of foam and a big wide base to create stability, but you've got a slightly wider base with the Gel-Kayano and some other features on it to make it more of a stable shoe, since it is aimed at runners who do overpronate. You get this through the 4D guidance system. So it's not so much about medial posting, which used to be the traditional way that people create stability shoes, but there's a whole range of features to make the shoe stable across the length of the shoe, things like those sidewalls and the wide base. You've also got a big heel bevel to guide your landings, and then the midsole geometry and materials used has been set up to create that stable design. So you've got this little patch of foam here, for example. Instead of being a medial post, which would be a firmer thing on the inside of the shoe to stop your foot rolling, Asics actually told us that this is a livelier foam that springs you off that part of your foot to get you back into a neutral position rather than rolling too far inwards on the run. So the result is that you get a stable shoe but it's not obtrusively stable like sometimes used to be the case with medial posting and that kind of thing. And it's better as a result for neutral runners as well as stability seeking runners. You've got knit tongue and knit uppers on both shoes, loads of padding around the heel as you'd expect, and really significant heel counters on both. It's not just on the Kayano, it's really firm internal heel counters there to create stability at the back of the shoe, and both are obviously very well padded around the tongue and collar because they are comfort focused shoes. You've got slightly different outsoles in this version of the shoe. The Gel-Nimbus 26, one of the big updates this year is the outsole, which is a mix of Asics grip and AHA plus rubber, which should create better grip than you had with the AHA rubber alone on the Gel-Nimbus 25, which some people found a little bit slippery on greasy pavements, and that's the rubber you've got on the Gel-Kayano. You've got an AHA plus rubber. It's a slightly firmer material at the back of the shoe here on these darker green sections, and then slightly softer feeling further forward. So you do have the slightly different outsole materials on the two shoes, although I didn't really notice a massive difference in terms of grip in the real world.
When it comes to fit, I ran true to size in both of these shoes. That is my regular running shoe size, which is UK 8.5 to US 9.5, and I would recommend going true to size in both of these shoes. They do have like a snug hugging fit. I think the heel collars hold really securely in both of these shoes. You know, that's one of the things that's really noticeable against some other shoes. You do feel well held. There's no slipping at all. Across the top, the midfoot, there's good lockdown without any sort of lace pinch or nastiness. The tongues do a good job of buffering all of that. There's just about enough wiggle room in the toe box. But overall, on both of these shoes, you're going to get a snug fit that I would say is almost like for like, almost identical. And I would recommend going true to size in both.
So the fit was good for me with both of these shoes. I have a UK 9 in both of them, which is a US 10 in Asics. They're fairly roomy at the front of the shoe, but in a good way. Enough room for a cushioned cruiser like this. No chance of your toes getting cramped on those long runs. Good hold around the midfoot and heel as well. So yeah, no concerns with the fit in my normal running shoe size with both shoes.
So in testing, I ran more than 35 miles in each of these shoes. That was mostly easier, low and slow, but I logged some faster efforts to test the pace, range, versatility as well. My test miles were mainly on road, but I threw in some light off-road park paths, river trails, that kind of thing, to test the Kayano 30 stability. I also did a side-by-side mile with one shoe on each foot to get a better sense of the differences in real time, and here's what I found. So then I've just done my side-by-side mile with the Nimbus 26 on the right foot. I've got the Kayano 30 on my left foot. Major things here, the difference between these shoes is very minimal. I mean, I don't normally run in a stability shoe, but overall, the comfort on the foot, the way the uppers wrap, the way the heels hold, all of that lockdown and that overall foot feel, I find is pretty much identical. Same room in the toe box. So these are very, very similar shoes from that point of view. In terms of the ride, there's a couple of little distinctions here. I think I get the kind of same return from that midsole foam, from that Flight Foam Blast Eco Plus. Pretty much If anything, I would say that the Kayano feel a little bit softer, a very, very tiny bit softer, sinkier. Maybe that's the footbed, I don't know. But the other thing that I really noticed, it's one of the changes that's happened with the Nimbus 26 on the 25. The Nimbus 26 is just a slappier shoe. I mean, it slaps on the ground, you can hear it. It's just a little bit disconnected. And for me, I find, you know, the noise, the feeling, the sensation is just a little bit interruptive to me. It's a small thing, but it does factor in when I'm running. I don't get that from the Kayano 30. Otherwise, I think your major differences here are just going to be whether or not you need a stability shoe or not. There is a bit more guidance in the Kayano 30, as you would expect. There is a bit more stability. I can feel there's sort of less roll. But overall, I don't think the Nimbus 26 is a particularly unstable shoe. So aside from the stability additions in the Kayano 30, which if you need stability, you're going to benefit from, I think there's not much to choose between these shoes in terms of the ride performance of that midsole foam and how it feels underfoot. They both return at about the same amount of time. I get the same sort of feeling in terms of the roll through and the transitions. Apart from that slappiness that you get in the Kayano 26, this is pretty much like for me in the way that they move on the ground. And so there's not a huge amount to choose between them. And the verdicts, I think, is just going to come down to whether or not you want that extra stability or you don't, or you need it or you don't.
So these are both enjoyable shoes for cruising around in. I'd say they are both very much comfort-focused shoes that I found at their best for those easy runs, just because the size and weight of the shoes makes them not the best if you are going to try and up the pace at all. I've logged a lot of easy miles in both of the shoes, as well as doing some shorter, faster stuff and one workout in the Gel-Nimbus. And yeah, certainly I'd say they shine when it comes to the easy, relaxed running side of things. So in the past, the Gel-Kayano was a fair bit different to the Nimbus. You had things like the medial posting, and it created a firmer, less enjoyable ride all round as a neutral runner myself. So I would, in the past, would always have gone for the Gel-Nimbus, but with the latest version of the Kayano, the stability is there, but it is subtle and just supportive, and as a result, it is a very comfortable shoe for a neutral runner as well. And then we've given the fact that the Gel-Nimbus also has quite a few stability features. They use same foams. In general, the shoes do have quite a similar feel on the run, I found. So when I was running in both shoes at the same time, you do still notice a slightly softer feeling with the Nimbus, and I do think it's got a little bit more of a smooth ride as well, with that slightly lower drop and the way it almost eases you onto the forefoot a little bit more smoothly than the Kayano, which has a little bit more of a snap to it. But these are really minor differences, I'd say, overall. And even as a neutral runner, I really did enjoy using the Gel-Kayano as a relaxed shoe with that extra support. Like, it's not something I necessarily need all the time, but at the end of longer runs, it's nice to have a little bit of extra support from your shoe if it's delivered in an unobtrusive way like this. And obviously the Nimbus does have a lot of stability elements as well. So I do think they match up quite well on the run, just with those slight differences in terms of softness and smoothness, where the Nimbus feels a little bit more so of those two things than the Kayano. Now, one change you have with the Gel-Nimbus 26 is that new outsole, and it has created a slightly slappier ride than the Gel-Nimbus 25, I found, and actually not quite as comfortable a ride under the forefoot for me on long runs or anything when I was doing any kind of faster paces in the shoe. I just got a slight bit of forefoot discomfort with the Gel-Nimbus 26, which isn't really present with the Gel-Kayano or indeed the Nimbus 25. So you have got this new outsole material on the Gel-Nimbus 26. I haven't really noticed a big uptick in grip. So the Gel-Nimbus 25, I think, has a similar outsole to the Gel-Kayano 30, and the first couple of runs out of the box, they can be a little bit squirrely on greasy pavements, but once the outsole roughs up, I found the grip to be perfectly fine. So even though you have got the updated outsole here on the Gel-Nimbus 26, which might be something that Asics does with the Gel-Kayano 31, I wouldn't say it's a game changer of an outsole change. And in fact, maybe the grip has slightly improved, but I also think the comfort has slightly decreased using this new outsole material, just because it hits the ground a bit harder in my experience. So it might seem a bit strange as a neutral runner, but I'd probably lean towards getting the Gel-Kayano out of these two shoes. I'd say neither would be top of my list to get. They're probably not shoes that I'd whack in my rotation myself, just because they are a bit too heavy and maxed out for me. But if you are looking between them, I wouldn't be put off by the fact the Gel-Kayano is a stability shoe if you are a neutral runner. It rides really well, it's very comfortable, it doesn't feel annoying or overly overbearing because of the stability elements. Obviously, if you are a runner seeking stability, then actually these are both fairly stable shoes, but the Gel-Kayano is the more stable one. I would get it of the pair, but the Gel-Nimbus is not an unstable shoe, so I wouldn't really worry about it despite the high stack you have here. I didn't find it very wobbly at all underfoot. So if you are racking up a lot of miles in marathon training and just ticking through easy runs at very slow paces, the extra support you get here from the Gel-Kayano is no bad thing, but the Nimbus, like I say, is probably slightly softer, a little bit smoother, so maybe that's a slight advantage as well. Probably, if it was up to me and I was looking at these shoes, I'd just look at getting the cheapest one out of the Gel-Kayano and the Gel-Nimbus, and I'd probably include the Gel-Nimbus 25 in that. If you're just looking for a big cushion shoe to tick through easy runs, then all of those shoes I think are pretty much equally good, unless you obviously do need stability, in which case the Kayano does have the edge. But yeah, at face value, at full price, I might just edge it to the Kayano out of these two, but I'd probably rate the Gel-Nimbus 25 the best of the trio, even though it is the older shoe.
My verdict then, if you get along with bulkier shoes, the Nimbus 26 and the Kayano 30 shoes both offer cushion protective rides that are geared towards the slower daily miles, long run comfort and easier recovery runs. That's what they do best. Neither shoe offers the responsive or snappy ride that you'll find on the range topping rival super daily trainers, and if you want running shoes that offer slow to all out pace range, there are better options out there for sure. However, if your priority is guaranteed easy cruising comfort, these shoes both offer that big time. The design tweaks bring the Kayano 30 much closer to the Nimbus, and with only minor upgrades to the latter, which shoe you choose here, I think, basically comes down to whether or not you need that stability, as I've said. If you do, the Kayano 30 is going to be the shoe for you. If you run in neutral shoes, the Nimbus 26 is the better option. It's also, I think, just a better shoe overall with a somewhat smoother ride despite that slappy outsole. It's a bit more responsive and just a bit more agility overall, I think. If you've used the Nimbus and found yourself wanting a similar ride just with some added stability though, the Kayano 30 now fits that bill. For good stability alternatives to the Kayano 30, I think it's worth looking at things like the Saucony Tempest and the Brooks Glycerin GTS. Some runners love the Nike Invincible 3 as well, but I can't get along with that shoe, but it's another one that would fall into this bracket. Good Nimbus 26 alternatives that deliver soft protective landings, but maybe a touch more sort of faster pace capability, I would say include the Brooks Max, that's a soft Nimbus-y shoe, and the Saucony Ride 17, which I think has a bit more overall versatility. Oh yeah, but if I'm personally choosing one of these shoes, for me it's going to be the Nimbus 26.
That's our comparison of the Asics Gel-Nimbus 26 and the Asics Gel-Kayano 30. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.